So welcome to the Shelterly new features release. Tonight we're going to talk about Hotline and then dabble just a little bit in Dispatch and Debrief. My name is Angie Martin and I'm the VP of Communications here at Shelterly. Also on the call is Trevor, who is our founder and executive director. So hopefully he'll be chiming in as I walk through the hotline demonstration and sharing some additional information and or answering any questions that you have at the end of our talk. Anything that we can answer or help and give information to you, we want to help. Speaking of that, every month for the past 4 or 5 months, Shelterly has been releasing updates via our newsletter and also hosting a live webinar so that we can talk about all of the awesome new features that you've helped to create. One of the things that I love the most about Shelterly is that it's made for us by us. And what that means is that we depend on your feedback and your information. If you have a different perspective, or if you look at something and you're like, oh, well, why couldn't it be this way? We want to hear from you. We want to take that information and share it with our steering committee and see what we can do to make Shelterly even better for you. So feel free to email us at info@shelterly.org at any time if you need help or support. You can also check out our past webinars on our YouTube channel. I've put a little QR code here if you'd like to take a picture of that or visit our YouTube channel to watch some of the previous webinars that we've had. Trevor has done the past few and they are so good. Um, you can also sign up for our newsletter if you haven't done so already. We try not to spam your inbox. We just want to send a few emails each month to let you know about the live webinars and also any training opportunities. There's going to be quite a few coming up in 2026, so we're hoping that you subscribe. And last but not least, please be sure to check out the Shelterly quick reference guides at calcarts.org/shelterly or on the Shelterly website under resources. Kate, Lauren, and Lisa have spent many, many hours putting these together for us so that we can have quick reference materials. And every time that there's an update for Shelterly, they painstakingly go through these quick reference guides and make sure that they are up to date as well. So there's a little date next to the title on the website page. So if you're interested, I would check that out just to make sure you have the most up-to-date information on those release guides. All right, so as most of us know, the hotline module allows trained operators to create service requests or SRs quickly and accurately during emergencies. I want to add on a caveat that we need to make sure that the examples I'm sharing with you and some of the different ways to do things are in line with what your team has shared with you to do, your SOPs or your protocols. Always err on that side of caution and make sure that if you have any questions about some of the information I'm about to share with you, that you share that with your team just to make sure that you're still all on the same page. We should have a lot of time at the end of our talk for Q&A. If I don't see a question come up in the comments, make sure that you bring that up so that we can make sure any questions that you have are answered. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in. I've created a scenario for us this evening. We are on day 3 of an incident called the Circle Ranch Fire. The fire perimeter has been mapped out with a fire zone, mandatory and evacuations and advisory evacuations have been set up. We've got a few calls that have come in through the hotline for evacuations, but we've just heard from the EOC that there's an upcoming weather event, that large scale additional mandatory and advisory evacuation notifications are getting ready to go out. This includes heavily populated areas with a lot of animals. So you've now been called in, or I've been called in to do this demonstration for you as a hotline team operator. Now what? I was just talking with someone last week that no matter how many incidents we've been through, or no matter how long we spent training or preparing, there's always that first moment when we're activated. And I have this voice in my head that just says, what do I do? And I know what to do. We've, trained for this, we've prepared for this. And so in these moments, I always need a grounding cord. And when I need that grounding cord, what I do is I go to the Shelterly website. And let me just grab this real quick so y'all can see this screen. Trevor, I'm going to get a thumbs up. You can see the screen.
Yep, we got you.
Okay, great.
Hey,
So
you
my
have the little screen share thing. You might want to move out of the way. You see the little, yep.
this,
You can
oh,
the little.
oh, I love learning something new. Okay, I'll just move that right
If
there.
you hit the little line on the right hand side, it'll go away.
Even
Just
the
look
line
to
on the
the
right.
right of the stop sharing button.
This one?
Yep.
Perfect, thank you. So my grounding cord, whenever I'm activated, is I always go to the Shelterly website. And this is not a shameless plug for the Shelterly website for wanting you to check it out. This is actually what I do that helps me get a few moments right before I dive into Shelterly. And so I come to shelterly.org because that for me is easy to remember. I click on Launch Shelterly, and you don't have to do that. You could just go to app.shelterly.org and enter in your email address and your password, which I've done here. And I'm going to go ahead and log in. You log in under your Shelterly or under the team that you've been activated under and select the organization. From here, we're going to select our incident, which we've shared is the Circle Ranch fire. And if you notice here, there's a T next to it. That's because we've made this as a training incident. If you're doing a training and you don't make this as a training incident, just a regular incident, Shelterly now has some features behind the scenes where we will all get notified that there's an incident in your area and most likely reach out to you to ask if you need any support. So just keep that in mind if that does happen. We're going to go ahead and click on select incident and come to the main screen where we can click on hotline because we are ready to go. So if I switch back to my screen here, call number 1 is a woman named Joni Smith. Her address is 127 Frey Road in Santa Rosa. She has 7 horses, and the information that I've received from the phone call is that there's an advisory evacuation. She was getting ready to go. She had all 7 horses loaded into 2 different trailers, and she realized at that moment both trailers have flat tires. The mandatory evacuation order just came through, and they are in the direct path of the wildfire. She's also informed me that the horses are not in need of any veterinary care. There's no bonded pairs. They all get along really well and they trailer really well. And I've just now realized that I have 10 to 15 calls in our queue. So if I come back here to Shelterly, I can go ahead and take my first call and go ahead and enter in the service location, which is 127 Frey Road in Santa Rosa. So you can see that that pops up. It's grayed out. There's no matching service requests found here, no matching owner here. I'm going to go ahead and click on the next step, and I can enter in her name. There's no matches found, so I'm going to go ahead and fill out the form below. And her phone number, and click on the next step. So this is the space now where we have a different choice. We have a different option because Shelterly has been upgraded. So I could take the time to go through each one of the horses' information, getting the animals' names, their colors, all of their information, or I could do something different here. I can create an animal group. I can say horses. I can enter in the breed and description. And come down here to request service, evacuation request, and down here in the number of animals, I can click the number 7. And the reason why I can do this now is because the intake team at the shelter can split the animal group into all 7 animals on intake. Or if I'm doing a debrief, as the field teams have left the property, we did this quite a bit in Los Angeles. They would update us with the service request number in WhatsApp with a visit note information, which we would copy and paste into the debrief notes. So I'm going to go ahead and do it this way and click next step. I'm going to make this an urgent priority. And with an urgent priority, we also had a protocol in place where we would alert our teams via WhatsApp that this service request is an urgent, please see instructions for field teams. So I'm just going to write some Very important instructions for field team here, and we can finish and create the service request. But first, I want you to notice that there's two new features on this page. Accessible and turnaround now have drop-down boxes instead of yes or no for toggle. We can now say if we know yes, that this property is accessible, it's not accessible, or if it's unknown, if we weren't able to ask. For this instance, we're just going to go ahead and say yes for both of these, and we did our due diligence for the verbal liability release. So we've created our service request number 9, and you can see here that it has 7 horses and that the evacuation has been requested. So for just a second, I'd like to go into the next lane. I want to take off my hotline hat and I want to put on my dispatch hat because we want to get this service request out into the field. And I just want to show you how we do this. So we click on dispatch, and this page has changed just a little bit. This is no longer split into 2 tabs. It's now one large button, which makes this easier. I'm going to click on deploy teams. And if I come here to my 7 horses, I can select it. The previous webinar that's on YouTube has Trevor's explanation of how to sort and filter. This is a very robust dispatch, a deploy teams page. So if I come here to select my team members, which I know I'm going to need 2, I'm just going to click on deploy. And so I have dispatched this service request for 127 Frey Road out into the field. If I'd like to see all of the information on the service request, I can click this arrow to drop it down and see all of the information here. So let's go to call number 2. Joni calls back and she says, I have a goat that now needs to be evacuated because the person coming cannot get inside of the mandatory evacuation lines. So let's go ahead and go back into Shelter Lee's hotline. We're going to go owner calling, and we're going to do the service request again, 127 Frey Road. And now you can see use matching service request has popped up, but it's assigned. So we're going to go ahead and add an animal to a service request, even though it's been dispatched out into the field. I'm going to go ahead and click on this and click next step. This screen for the owner information is grayed out because it contains the information from the service request that's already been dispatched. If I'd like to change this, I can click here on edit mode and you can see the screen brightens and I'm now able to enter information into the fields. But for this example, I don't wish to do that. I'm going to go ahead and click on next step. And the same thing with the animal information. This preserves the information and prevents us from overwriting it. If we wanted to edit it, we could go ahead and click on edit mode, but I don't want to. I just want to scroll down and add another animal here. I'm going to add the goat. And I'm going to leave this as reported just to show you how to go back and make sure that we can update our information if we need to. And I'm going to click on next step. I don't need to do anything here, and I'm going to finish the service request. So now, just like one of those emails that you sent out with spelling errors that you can't get back, you can actually change this. I've noticed here that this is an exclamation point, which means that it's been reported. It's not an evac requested. So all I need to do here is click on the animal, click on actions, update the animal, and I can update from here to evac requested, come back to save, and now it is evac requested exactly as it should be. There's something else that I'd like to share with you about this dispatch assignment number 6. If I come here so you can see it, Billy the goat has some stars next to the animal. And the reason why is because it's alerting us or giving us a tag or an icon that this animal was added to the service request while it was already assigned to an active dispatch assignment. So that's just a little heads up that I really need to make sure that I communicate with my teams out in the field, either via WhatsApp or radio or a phone call to let them know, hey, there's one more animal that's been added on to this service request. All right, so from here, let's say the third call as part of this demonstration, Mike calls back and he's Joni's partner. He says, Joni forgot to mention our barn cat and I am the hotline operator who initially took the call. So I'm going to show you a very quick way to add an animal to a service request so that we don't have to go through the entire system that we just went through again. I use this when I'm very familiar with a phone call that's come in or a service request or an address to get another animal added to that service request. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to use the search function, and we're going to come here to service requests. I can see here that service request number 9 is Joni Smith. She has a goat. I can use this tab here, that those are the 7 horses. I can click on this radio button, and I can come down here to this animals tab and click on actions and add an animal. And from here, I'm going to add the cat and evacuation requested. Go ahead and click, enter in all of my other information as it's known and as it comes up, and click on save. So now we have our 7 horses. We have Billy the goat, Boris the cat, and the field teams have gone to the property. They've evacuated the 7 horses and Billy the goat, and not Boris the cat. They did not search for Boris because we weren't able to get in touch with them on time. So if we come here to the dispatch assignment, number 6, and we scroll down, you can see now Billy the goat has 3 stars, the same way Boris the cat does. They were added after the dispatch assignment. So let's say I want to enter in as the dispatch team member the visit information. I could copy and paste the visit notes from the WhatsApp channel if I have WhatsApp downloaded to my desktop, which we encourage that during the incidents because it makes it easier to copy and paste information back and forth. And also, you can see here, if let's just say our shelter intake team is slammed with a bunch of animals coming in and we know this, we can go ahead and split the animal group here. And the way that I would do that is I would say, 1 horse at a time and push those down. I would then go to the animal ID number and update their information with their names and descriptions and all of the other good information that's coming in if I need to during the visit note or debrief process. So let's just say the horses in this case were reunited, Billy the goat was reunited, and Boris the cat was did not search for. So a did not search for is fine to have in your service request, because once you in your dispatch assignment, because once you mark it as complete, the follow-up date will gray out and notify you that it cannot be modified if an animal is marked as did not search for. So what we want to happen is for Boris the cat to populate again when we want to deploy teams. And the way that we do that is we save this visit note information. And then from here, we close out the dispatch assignment and we get this wonderful feature that says, are you sure you want to close it? And we say, yes, we do. And then when we come back to the dispatch screen and go to deploy teams, you can see here now that Boris the cat is here and ready to go so that we can go out the next day or the next time a team member goes out once it's safe to do so to look for Boris the cat. So that's just the brief walkthrough of, let me see if I can take this off to stop presenting. So that is just a brief walkthrough of some of the new features that Hotline, Debrief, and Dispatch have to offer. Does anyone have any questions? I hope you have questions.
Yes, this is Carrie. And I noticed you did 2 teams on your dispatch on that. How do you do the 2 teams?
Oh, that's a great question. So let me share my screen again. All right, so let's just say we're going to dispatch teams out for Boris the cat again, and we're going to send out 2 teams. Right here where it says choose team members, you just click here and all of the team members show up. Let's say you're looking through this and your team member isn't here that you would like to have. You can click on this plus right here to add a new team member, first name, last name, phone number, agency ID. And if you select, you want to select one that doesn't have the triangle with the exclamation point in it, because that means that a team member has already been assigned to a dispatch assignment. So we're going to select Mike Jones, and we're also going to select Joey Smith, and we can just click back in the box and select another one if we'd like to have 3, and then click on deploy teams. Does
And
that
if you go back to the dispatch page real quick, or the yeah, go into the deploy one.
Okay.
There you go. In that drop down, she mentioned, if you click in there, that at the top are all your existing dispatch assignments. That used to be teams, and they still represent teams, but they actually represent the dispatch assignment object. And if you select one, go ahead and select one of those. It'll actually put a pin on the map showing you where all the work is that the team is currently doing. And so if you select one that has a DA at the beginning, and then select a new red button or one of the service requests, just click on any random service request, you see that the action button now says assign, because what that's going to do is actually add it to that existing dispatch assignment. So this page has continued to get a variety of updates over the last year to make it quite a bit more powerful, but that's another option as well.
Are there any other questions? I just learned something new, which I'm really excited about. I want to go play around with that, Trevor. I didn't know that it could do that. That's great. Are there any other questions or anything else we could walk through or share with you?
If not, we can talk a little bit about what we're expecting to put out in the next release. So we're already hard at work at the next release. This one just went out on last Wednesday, but you guys are kind of seeing we're putting out a release about every month or so. In the next release, there'll be some additional filters on the deploy map, allowing you to do a little bit more fine-grained selection of animals, specifically around like looking for service requests with injured animals or animals that are contained or confined. And that should really help out. If anybody here has taken the CARES workshop or the CARE workshop, that's something we're kind of focusing on, is how you're going to prioritize your work. And so we're going to continue kind of that emphasis to make sure that you have the tools to do that. Additionally, there will be a little bit, the shelter management stuff will actually be within that new organizational management tool area. So that's a big change, as well as being able to reuse animals from previous incidents. And so what we're doing here at the end of this year is actually working towards a kind of a pre-registration portal, allowing for you to enter people's information before a disaster. And the first step of that is actually us reusing information from previous disasters, because it's going to end up functioning in a very similar way. The idea being that during that use existing owner workflow, instead of similar to how Angie just reused an existing service request, say you don't have a service request quite yet, you'll be able to reuse existing owner. And if that owner has previously had animals in your system, you'll be able to select and include however many of those are appropriate for that current disaster. So that's something that should be coming up here in the next release. And let me go look at the rest of my notes.
Email coming out tomorrow morning with a lot of the release notes, including information that we just talked about as well. So make sure that you look out for that.
Yes. Oh, and the other big change in the near future, we have 2 more, which is going to be the Petco Love Lost integration is queued up here pretty shortly. We're hoping to get that done into this next release as well, barring any technical interfacing issues, as always, when working with other groups, but they're being super awesome, and they gave us a grant to do that support, which is great. And then the other big one is actually the ability to provide access at the incident level to other user accounts instead of organization-wide. And again, these are things kind of coming out of us running the CARE workshop, identifying how people want to interoperate and making sure that the tool is going to support the way that we want to do those things. And so those are just some of the big highlights that we should see here in the next month or two as part of the continued development. So hopefully you guys are kind of seeing we've been able to add a bunch more features recently and get some nice consistency. And again, that's all. Luckily, I do this work also, so I kind of cheat because I want to make a cool tool for me to use, but everyone else gets to use it as well. So as Andrew was mentioning, we're making a tool that is directly supporting what you guys are doing in the field. I think we're up to 8 activations already this year. Relatively calm year, all things considered, but it's nice to have this tool available for all of us. And if you guys have any ideas, make sure you reach out. info@shelterly.org. Oh, I think I might have froze.
Debbie has a question. Do you have a feature that an owner can pre-register their information, animals, and addresses in case of a disaster that will be occurring in their area?
Yeah, so that's actually the second phase. The first phase, it seems like doing it a little bit backwards, in that we're going to allow you to reuse data from previous disasters. But that's to make sure that we've built all the scaffolding underneath that would then allow us to reuse if you pre-registered your own animals. So this infrastructure creates all of that, and that'll be the exact next step. That's exactly where we're going. So you can go to public facing events, have people sit down with you with a laptop and register their animals. We haven't fully decided if we want to do a genuinely public facing option where you could just send them a link. We're a little bit concerned about data integrity. And during a disaster, people registering themselves 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 10 times. So we want to try to think through how to do that consistently. So phase 1 is reusing animals from previous disasters, which will allow us to kind of have that infrastructure. Phase 2 is to allow internally to have a tool to do exactly what you described, which is type in their information not during a disaster and put that in the backlog. And then we'll think about what that potential public facing tool looks like. I think we're kind of edging away from it being truly public because of the data integrity issues. But you as an organization would have a tool you could log into, sit at a farmer's market or sit at a public, OES conference or whatever it is and register, or even go out to your agricultural residents and just sit with them and do their data entry so that all that information is pre-registered. But that's the idea.
Debbie says, thank you.
Sweet. All right, we're right on time here. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us. Hopefully these are useful for you guys. It's nice for us to create this as a product that we can publish for folks that aren't here. I know we've been getting quite a few views, not during this exercise itself, so it's been a tool to kind of come back to later. Oh, Brian raised his hand right under the wire, though. Brian, what do you got? Or were you trying to applaud?
Sorry, I was just applauding. I think
yeah, that happens on Google all the time. So awesome. Well, thank you guys, everyone, and we'll see you guys in another month or so.